Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Healthcare Marketing RX, where our goal is to help your healthcare marketing get healthy and stay that way. And today we're going to focus on making sure that the forms that you use on your website forms, are HIPAA compliant. First, a little bit of housekeeping to get out of the way. This is general information only. We are a HIPAA compliant healthcare marketing agency, but we are not lawyers. The information that we're providing to you is based just on our experience as being a HIPAA compliant agency. It's general information about a marketing topic. Please do not construe this as legal advice. It is not. And for any questions that you have about what you're seeing here, please talk to your healthcare attorney. You can give us a call as well. We're happy to talk to you, but ultimately, we recommend that you go to your healthcare attorney for specific legal guidance. So with that out of the way, we're pretty sure that you have forms on your website that you want people to fill out. And the most common example is a contact us form. Looks very familiar. You ask for the name and the email, maybe a phone number, and then you've got this open box here. This one says, how can we help? But you could say, leave us a message. Whatever you say, it's an open box and people can type in pretty much whatever they want in it. The other type of forms that we see commonly are patient forms or new patient forms. And what we almost always see is that they're not kind of live forms on the website like what you see here. Instead, they're PDFs that you would like the patient to download, print out, fill out, and then bring with them to their next appointment. It's very safe from a HIPAA compliant point of view. Unfortunately, very few patients actually take the time to do all of that. Now, there are a lot of forms companies that you can use online. A very popular one is called Gravity Forms. You can make forms on Google. These three over here on the right, these are all have HIPAA compliant features to them, or they're built HIPAA compliant from the ground up. We're not endorsing any of these, just making you aware of some of the names. Here is an example of where protected health information can get into a form on a website. Let's go back to that Contact Us form. And let's start right over here on the right. Depending on what somebody types into this form, it could be really deep dive protected health information. If you are, say, a podiatrist, for example, and somebody talks about their diabetic foot ulcers are getting worse, or they've had ingrown toenails in their back, et cetera, could be PHI depending on what they say. The example I gave is definitely protected health information. And then if they also put in any of their contact information, that now counts as PHI also because it's paired with clinical information. So you would know the name and the email address of the person with those foot ulcers, for example. And you really now have a responsibility to protect that information just like you do all the other PHI that you collect. So what are your choices to get HIPAA compliant? Well, one option is to change those forms online or don't use them at all. One way that you could change the form, the easiest way, is to get rid of that box that says, how can we help? Please leave us a message. Or you could get rid of the form completely and just put in your contact information, put in your phone number, put in your office email, and ask people to call you or email you. As a marketing agency, we prefer not to have that. We want to make things as easy as possible for people to contact you. And if they can just fill it out online, especially if it's after hours, the form's always available. That's easier for them. Our clients like to have that open-ended box because they want to know what's going on. It helps when somebody calls them back. They've got a little bit of information about the reason that prospective patient contacted you in the first place. So if you're going to leave your form alone, your other option is to get HIPAA-compliant online forms in one way or another, and then pair it with HIPAA-compliant website hosting. That's a separate healthcare marketing RX. We're not going to go into that one today, but it's a separate question about whether or not your website hosting is HIPAA-compliant as well. So one of the questions that we get is specifically around the Contact Us form, and it's phrased like this. Seriously, Carl, we have to do this for a Contact Us form. They're not even our patients yet. And their answer is, yeah, we think you do. So here's the scenario. A prospective patient, not a patient yet, fills out a contact form on your website. So far, so fine. But what if they become an actual patient? That's what you want. You want these people to become actual patients. That's why you opened up your practice. You need patients. What tends to happen in this case is that all that information that's in the Contact Us form, nobody ever gets rid of it, and it just lives in the website, which means that if it's not living in a HIPAA compliant website hosting environment or a contact form environment, preferably both, then it's just sitting out there and it can be taken. And that's what a data breach is all about. Data is lost or stolen. And if that happens, you might have yourself a HIPAA violation on your hands. The easiest way, like I said, is to make sure somebody's going in, they're scrubbing that data out, getting rid of them, deleting them. It's just something that doesn't usually happen. And months, years of old contact forms are sitting in a website, and it's all just fodder, for somebody to take it. So you know that your online forms company is HIPAA compliant. This is the question. Maybe I'm using somebody who's HIPAA compliant already. If you are, fine. There's two boxes that they've got to check. First, they'll sign something called a business associate agreement. Now, when it comes to your marketing company, your online forms provider, your website host, whoever it is, for you, they are considered a business associate in HIPAA speak. You're the covered entity and they're the business associate. That's what we are to our clients. And you've got to have a BAA in place specifically between you and your business associates. Business associates are very long, hard to read, dense legal documents, but if you boil them down, they're really going through a few things. And it's all obviously with respect to protected health information or electronic ePHI. For you, the covered entity, first, what are your responsibilities to store, protect PHI? And then if you transmit it, email is an example of a way to transmit protected health information. What are your responsibilities when you do those things? That's the first component. The second component is, for the business associate, same thing. If you're going to share protected health information or expose them to it, what are, say, my responsibilities, my agency's responsibilities to store, protect, and when I transmit it, what are my responsibilities? And then the third category is, in our opinion, the biggie. What happens if there's a breach, God forbid? Across the two of us, covered entity and business associate, who's responsible to do what, how quickly, who pays the costs, and so on and so on. And so when all those things are agreed to in advance, if God forbid there's a data breach or data is lost or stolen, we've already agreed on what each of us is going to do so that we can fix the problem and clean it up as fast and as efficiently as possible. Everybody's better off that way. And the Office of Civil Rights has made having a BAA a requirement of HIPAA, even if nothing else is in place. So that's the first box you got to check. The second one is they talk the talk. They use certain terms. Here are some examples. They say they're HIPAA compliant. That's an obvious one. We have encrypted systems. You have to log in to get your data. Secure storage. Now, they could use terms that sound like this. They could use other terms. These are just examples. And it's one thing to say, for example, that you have encrypted systems. It's another one that they're good enough, and you should do a little bit of digging there. It doesn't take much, but they have to talk the talk. The whole point, if we go back to a BAA, the whole point of a BAA is to say we agree to do certain things to protect protected health information. But if they don't talk the talk and do those other things to actually protect the PHI, what's the point of having the BAA in the first place? And we have run across, not many, but one or two third-party service providers out there of this or that when it comes to marketing tools where literally all they have is the BAA, and we move on. We don't recommend those to our clients. It just doesn't make any sense to us why you would not do the things you're supposed to do to fulfill the agreement you're signing with a covered entity. Makes no sense to us. Okay, how do you find out if the forms company you're using is already HIPAA compliant? If you're going to do it on your own, start easy. Go to the website, go to the homepage, scroll down to the bottom, look for their privacy policy or their terms or conditions or both. Click on them, open it up, and scan. You're looking for the words HIPAA compliant or HIPAA. And if they say they are, great. If they don't, then you're still not sure. You either call them up yourself or even easier, go to whoever developed your website and ask them. Usually, whoever built your website also plugged in the forms and designed the forms for you. And so they'll at least know who they're using. And then you can ask them to research it, or they can give you the name and you can do it yourself. But one way or the other, we really do think you ought to find out if the online forms provider that you're using is HIPAA compliant. And what happens if they're not? Well, you've got a couple of options. You can switch to a different form provider, or you can change your form to eliminate the ability to collect protected health information. That's probably the easier one, but you've got that compromise about, are you giving up too much information for somebody who could become a patient in the name of HIPAA compliance when switching is another option. If you want to switch and you want to go down that path, just Google HIPAA compliant online forms companies. You'll get a good list of names. Start working through them. You can also ask your outsourced IT support, your marketing agency, or another one in your network if you have one, your colleagues, your professional colleagues who do what you do but own their own practices. Just start asking around and see what you find. Whatever you find, we recommend have your healthcare attorney review their agreement, their BAA, at least know what you're getting into, and then they can advise you on whether it's worth signing or not. At least your eyes wide open and you're more educated about that company and whether their terms make sense for you. So we hope this has helped. We hope this has educated you a bit and opened your eyes a bit to an issue that's could be a problem, but it's pretty easy to solve. Our library of healthcare RX marketing videos continues to grow. Please check back for more. And for more information about Market Advisory Group, you can go to www.marketadvisorygroup.com. Thanks very much.